Riddle me this. During everything that went down in the Penguin, where was Batman? Gotham was going through its bloodiest gang war. A new drug hit the streets and a bomb went off in the middle of Crown Point. Where was Batman? What was so important that Bruce didn't show up to do his one job? Fight crime. And it's obvious he's still in Gotham because in the last frame of the show, we see the bat signal. Well, it seems like the answer was hidden in plain sight. But there's also a more frustrating answer that the creators of the show are afraid to talk about, but not me. In order for any of this to make sense, we have to look at our clues. The main source being the Batman movie from 2022. The events of the Penguin were only able to take place because of how the Batman movie ended. After Falcone's demise, it leaves room for the Penguin to start scheming, but we have to pay attention to how that was even able to happen in the first place. Gotham PD is corrupt from the inside, but Batman and Gordon don't realize just how deep the rabbit hole is until the end of the film. Now keep that in mind for later. Throughout the film, we only see Batman fight a petty crime once. For the rest of the film, it's Batman doing detective work with Gordon. The intro monologue mentions when the light hits the sky, but that signal is really only used when Gordon has intel for Batman. But since Batman knows he can't be everywhere at once, he uses the signal to his advantage, claiming that he is the shadows. Now, it might be too early for a hot take, but in that intro monologue, I think that Batman is overestimating the impact that he thinks he's having when it comes to injecting fear on the criminals this early in his journey. When he says this, he's only projecting the symbol that he wants to become on the criminals of Gotham. But we all have to keep in mind it's only his second year as Batman, and criminals aren't that afraid of him yet. That one group of criminals that he ends up fighting in the film end up asking him,
"The hell are you supposed to be?"
Further evidence is that in the film, Batman realizes that the way he goes about fighting crime ends up inspiring the Riddler. In the Batman, he's just a guy who lashes out, not someone that inspires fear. By the end of the film, those people need help in the stadium. He realizes the key thing that made the Riddler think they were the same. He understands he can't just be vengeance. He has to become more. And this is a common theme throughout Batman stories. You gotta think about Batman Year One and even Mask of the Phantasm. Bruce spends a significant amount of time trying to figure out how he's going to become that symbol that's both going to inspire hope, but also scare away the criminals. He isn't feared until he fully embraces the Bat persona. And in this universe, for 2 hours and 19 minutes of the Batman, Bruce is vengeance.
Hey, vengeance! You think you can come after my money, huh?
After the 2 hour and 36-minute mark, he becomes the Batman. And that's a whole other deep dive for another day. But those details are very important to our question today.
Where is the Batman?
In order for us to figure out where the Batman was this entire time, we have to remember this important detail. The Penguin only takes place about a week after the Batman, which means no, he's not overseas in a Muay Thai training camp. He's right there in Gotham. See, in the Batman movie, the only reason why the story is able to progress is because Batman has Gordon working on the inside, feeding him intel, which means Batman is still learning how the criminal underworld works. We forget he's not seasoned yet. For example, even though everyone knows the Falcones are a crime family, Bruce can't do anything. You still need a reason to lock them up. In the Penguin, cops don't get involved until episode 5 when Sofia is being investigated for the death of the Falcones. And from a bird's eye view, things don't really get crazy until the end of episode 7 when Crown Point literally blows up. But before those events, everything that's going on is still technically very low key. Here's proof. When the Penguin flips on the Falcones in episode 2 and the truck gets ambushed, that was an inside job that not even the Falcones knew about. Now what about the rapid increase of bliss on the streets? The Penguin was so low key about it, not even the rival gangs knew where the Penguin's base of operations were. The reason why we think that the Batman should know what's going on is because we as the audience are viewing it in real time. If we're being honest, Batman just accepted his new destiny about a week ago. Once the city is flooded, he starts helping the people of Gotham because that's what folks like the Riddler didn't see. Notice how angry the Riddler got when he realized him and Batman weren't the same. The criminals aren't afraid of Batman yet because at this part of the story, Batman doesn't draw the line in the sand until the news shows him carrying that woman. In this moment, I also believe that he realizes that he's going to start doing work as Bruce Wayne and continue building on his family's philanthropy efforts.
Your family has a history of philanthropy, but as far as I can tell, you're not doing anything.
One way to do that, working with the new mayor, trying to stop the corruption from the inside. During the events of the Penguin, Batman is developing his Bruce Wayne persona. The Penguin, now being brought into the light as a new kingpin, allows Batman to start his next investigation. And that's why the bat signal goes up in the sky. But see, what's crazier is the producers of the show already told us why we don't see the Batman in the Penguin. Batman in the Penguin presents a writing problem. Having the Batman appear overshadows the Penguin because his battle is with the rival underworld leaders. These characters should be able to stand on their own, and if you start bringing in more popular characters, you run the risk of watering down the Penguin's story. You need to have your own journey in order for you to become significant. When it comes to the Batman, he would ruin the reason why we became so attached to the Penguin. We already know we're watching the show because of their connection. At the premiere for the Penguin, when asked about where the Batman was, showrunner Lauren LaFranc said this.
We talked about it, if it made sense for our story and didn't detract from other characters, I think we'd be open to it. But it just kept feeling like if Batman comes in, we don't want to steal the spotlight from Oz, and Oz certainly would not appreciate that.
But even with all of that reasoning, there's still a more depressing reason why we don't see the Batman in the Penguin. When the Penguin was starting production, James Gunn took over all things DCU. We have to remember that when the Penguin was greenlit, 2 other shows were also in consideration, an Arkham series and a Gotham PD series, but both of those never saw the light of day. Warner Brothers doesn't have that much money to spend, and they've been canceling projects left and right. Batgirl, Acme and the Wild Coyote. To save costs, the Cartoon Network website was shut down, and they even sold their Batman Cape Crusader show to the highest bidder, Amazon. The reason why the Batman wasn't in the Penguin were for 2 reasons: risk and money. We're asking about why the Batman didn't appear in the Penguin, but to quote the Riddler, you're missing the bigger picture. Follow me here. Have you noticed anything weird about your HBO Max subscription? Rebranding? Bundles? In early 2024, Warner Brothers Discovery lost around $10 billion with a B dollars in a single quarter. How do they offset that? Syndication. Selling the stuff that they've already made to other networks instead of making it exclusive to their platform. But that sounds like something that we've already seen before, and it's called television. And now Max Originals are being ported over to Netflix, making some of its money back through licensing. Soon, we'll no longer be getting Max Originals, and if you've been paying close attention, you'll already notice that the Green Lantern series went from being a Max Original to an HBO series. Warner Brothers is looking to streamline everything. The Penguin is one of the last shows to hold on to the Max Originals branding. We have to do the simple math. Since HBO/Max is subscription based, how many subscribers does the new TV show get Warner Brothers in order to offset the price of production? When the Penguin was made, there was no guarantee that it was going to be a hit, meaning you could run the risk of spending money on Batman being in your show and it still becomes a flop. But that's where there's also a massive positive in all of this. The final episode got over 2.1 million views, an over 50% increase from the first episode, and that shows an insane amount of growth. The showrunners let us know that there's still a chance that we could see the Batman in the future, especially since it seems like HBO is proud of the performance of the show. So much so that it looks like they might be ordering a season 2 of The Penguin. And since they know that we love the show so much, they might be willing to make the investment to include Batman. I just finished The Penguin season 1 and oh my goodness. Click over here to hear my thoughts, and I'll see you in the next encounter.